Have you ever cooked tempeh only to be disappointed by its weird rubbery texture and bitter flavor? I totally get it. I've done that too. But today I'm going to share with you 2 dinner recipes that I make for my family all the time, and that tempeh is truly a star of the show in them. A little while ago, I made a video of how to cook tempeh to make it taste good without having to steam it or marinate it or do any kind of complicated manipulations with it. Under that video, I got a lot of comments from people who have tried tempeh in its country of origin, Indonesia, and they were saying that it tastes much, much better compared to what we can get here in the US. The difference is that here tempeh is pasteurized, but in Indonesia, it's fresh. The flavor is much milder, not bitter at all. So I found this company that actually makes fresh unpasteurized tempeh. It's called BosTempeh. It's based in New Hampshire and is run by immigrants from Indonesia who wanted to create tempeh for people who know what it should taste like. This fresh tempeh has this fresh, nutty flavor with slightly mushroomy aroma. And because it's not pasteurized, it's not bitter. The company ships their tempeh all over the US directly from their factory. And also they were nice enough to give viewers of my channel a 10% discount code. Enter the code Alina and 10% off will be applied to your order automatically. So the first dish I'm going to share with you is a delicious tempeh and broccoli pasta with tahini sauce. I love this dish because it's really easy and quick to make, and it makes a great weekend dinner that comes together in no time. So let me show you how to make it. First, I'm going to cut my block of tempeh into bite-sized pieces. Next up, I'm going to saute my tempeh. I'm using the same method that I showed in my first tempeh video. You add a splash of water, and as it evaporates, it creates a steamy environment, and that steam cooks the tempeh. Then you flip the pieces and do it again. While my tempeh is cooking, I usually prep my broccoli. I trim off these tips where the broccoli bits were cut before. You don't have to do that though if you want to save time. Next up, it's time to make my sauce. I'm just going to add all of the ingredients into this measuring cup. It's not going to look smooth, but once I add hot pasta water later, the tahini will melt and the sauce will look nice and smooth. If you want both of these recipes in printable form, I have put them into a PDF document. There is a link in the video description and in the first comment where you can go and download them. In the meantime, I've brought a pot of water to a boil, and now it's time to add my pasta. I'm going to cook the pasta until just before it gets to al dente. My box said that it takes 10 minutes, so I'm setting the timer for 9 minutes. Once the time is up, I'm going to add my raw broccoli and about a cup of frozen peas right into the pot. This way you don't have to make an extra step to cook them separately. Now, instead of boiling broccoli, you can also saute it in the same pan that you made tempeh in. But for the sake of this video, I want to make things as easy as possible. That's why I'm adding the broccoli here into the pot with the boiling pasta. Here's the deal. If you boil broccoli for too long, it will get mushy and fall apart when you start mixing your pasta. To avoid that, don't wait till the water starts boiling again. Wait for only 30 to 45 seconds and then go ahead and drain the whole thing. Before you drain that pasta, I highly recommend that you save some of that pasta boiling water, at least 1 cup, but maybe even 2 cups, because we will need some to thin out the sauce once we mix it with the pasta. And finally, it's time to bring everything together. I've drained my pasta, returned it back to the pot, and added tempeh and my sauce. I've thinned out the sauce a little bit with the pasta water, and then I added a few splashes into the pot just to make it a little bit creamier. And lo and behold, my beautiful pasta is ready to enjoy. Now, my next dish that I'm going to show you is a delicious Asian tempeh and cabbage stir fry. I love this dish because it delivers a really nice punch of flavor that you can adjust to your liking. It's a one-pot dish. You can make it either in a wok or in a skillet. You don't need to pre-cook the tempeh. You just add it towards the end. So let me show you how to make it. Just like in my first recipe, I'm going to start with chopping my block of tempeh into bite-sized pieces. I'm not going to pre-cook them over here. However, I'm going to marinate them in this delicious sauce that I'm going to make with rice vinegar, maple syrup, regular soy sauce and dark soy sauce, sesame oil, gochujang, which is a Korean chili paste, and chili garlic sauce. Now here's the deal. You can use either one of these. It really depends on what kind of flavor you'd like to get. The Korean gochujang sauce is a little bit less spicy and it has a little bit of a sweeter flavor to it. Whereas chili garlic sauce is more spicy and the flavor is like pretty bold and more garlicky. I honestly like both of them in this dish, but very often I make half and half because this way I really get best of both worlds. To make this sauce, I'm just going to mix all of the ingredients together in a bowl, including both gochujang and chili garlic sauce, just because I feel like it. But if you only have one of them, feel free to use just one. After that, I'm going to toss my tempeh in the sauce and set it aside while I'm getting everything else ready. Next up, I've got some vegetables to chop. I'm going to start with an onion and just going to slice it. Then a carrot. I'm going to cut it into matchsticks. A red pepper. I'm going to use the whole thing and clean out the seeds from the inside. Notice that I'm putting carrots, peppers, and onions all in the same bowl because I'm going to be cooking them all together. Next, I've got my mushrooms. I usually cut off their stems because they're oftentimes kind of funky. After that, I'm going to slice them and put in a separate bowl. Finally, I have my cabbage. I'm going to use two different types, a green and a purple one, because I think the color of the stir fry is nice when I use two different types. However, if you only have one type of cabbage, that's perfectly fine. You can just use that and the flavor of the stir fry will be about the same. If you're making this dish on a weeknight, then to save yourself some time, you can chop the vegetables earlier, either the morning off, or if you do any kind of meal prep in advance, then you can chop the vegetables like a couple days earlier. This way, when it's time to cook the stir fry, it comes together really quickly. Next up, it's time to start cooking. I'm going to use my carbon steel wok. If you don't have a wok, that's okay. You can just use a skillet. I use avocado oil for pretty much all of my high heat cooking. And once the wok is greased, I'm adding my peppers, onions, and carrots. If you remember, I put them all together in the same bowl. Once they soften a little bit, I'm adding garlic and then mushrooms. And now it's time to add my cabbage. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt because it helps the cabbage to release its juices faster, and this helps the stir fry cook quicker. I'm also going to put the lid on. That also speeds up the cooking process. Finally, it's time to add my tempeh. It's been marinating in the sauce and now it looks really good. So I'm going to dump it all into my stir fry. Give it a good stir to make sure the sauce covers everything. Here's a little trick to make sure all the sauce gets in. Just take some of the vegetables and put them into this bowl. Stir them around a little bit and put them back into the stir fry. The steam that stir fry is producing will help the tempeh cook, so it will be perfectly tender when everything is done. Now I'm going to put the lid back on and let everything steam 5 or 6 minutes, and then I'll check on it. While the stir fry is cooking, I'm going to cut scallions and cucumbers. The scallions I'm cutting into these sections about 2 inches long, and then the stalk parts, the thicker ones, I'm cutting in half lengthwise and then kind of splitting those little layers. As for the cucumbers, I'm just going to cut them into matchsticks, and later I will use them as a topping for each individual bowl of the stir fry. Alright, let's check the stir fry. The cabbage has softened, so it's pretty much done. I'm going to add my scallions and mix them in, and right after that I will turn off the heat. If you want the scallions to soften, then you can put the lid back on for 5 minutes or so. Or if you want them to stay bright green and crunchy, then keep the lid off until you're ready to eat. If you want even more vegan recipes just like these, check out my new vegan meal planning app called Veg Easy. The app lets you create fully customizable meal plans that fit all of your and your family's dietary needs. You can use any of the recipes that I've already uploaded to the app. Also, if you have your own favorite recipes that you'd like to continue using in your meal plans, you can upload them into the app. Right now, I'm offering a 7-day free trial to all new users. Find all of the links in the video description and also following this QR code over here. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. If you make these recipes, please let me know. I'd love to hear how they come out. Download the printable versions of these recipes and check out my meal planning app. The links for both of them I'll put down in the description. Next up, check out these videos. The top one is for my basic way to cook tempeh that you can use in any recipe. And the bottom one will be my latest upload. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.